Hey, how's it going? You're here with Ollie from Ollie's Drift Garage. Today, I'm at Hose Techniques. One of my sponsors on my RB25 240SX project. They helped in transforming my engine bay from something that would look, okay, to something that looks really outstanding. And I'm about to do the same thing for my buddy Matt. He's got a G35 with a really nice twin turbo setup with a custom manifold and everything. But all of his fittings, all his couplings on his pipes, those are all stock. So we're going to take those from stock to pimping. Lucky Dodge, the innovator of hose techniques, has created a variety of hoses that fit a variety of applications. All of his hoses have a limited lifetime warranty, a high heat resistance, as well as one very cool feature, which is, if you can see the threads right here, a lot of companies will use fiberglass, but Hose Techniques goes the extra mile and they actually use Nomex. That's right, the same stuff that your race suit's made out of. They offer their hoses in the following colors: cobalt blue, super blue, super red, and jet black. They also have vacuum hoses in a variety of colors, many to match the couplings, as well as some colors such as silver, which you can use to color match whatever you have going on underneath your hood. Alright, we're about to get started on Matt's setup. As you can see, he's got the fittings that came with his setup. And if you look close, you'll see that his couplings are actually two color versus Hose Technique, which are one solid color throughout. Which goes to say that Hose Technique not only believes in making a performance product, but also wants you looking nice when it's all done and said. Alright, we're going to start by taking off the old couplings. Make sure you got the right size hose that you're ordering. I'm going to show you real quick how to measure correctly. Basically, you have your old hose, but these hoses after a while, especially these type of hoses, they will warp depending on what kind of pressure you put on with the clamps or what they have to wrap around, so on and so forth. Well, the best way to get your measurement, actually the only way I would suggest you getting your measurement, and Hose Tech suggests you get your measurement, is from the pipe itself. And you're going to want to measure from the outside of the pipe across. Get your measurement there. That will become your ID, your inner diameter for your hose, and that's what you normally order by. You're going to say you need like a 2.5 inch ID, and they'll send you out the right size hose. Okay, what we have here is we've got our two hoses, and it's going to fit onto our pipe. And we went ahead and measured, and we got 2 1/4 here, 2 1/4 on this end, and then up here we have a 2 1/4, but it goes to a 2.5. So for this area, we've got a transitional hose, which goes from 2 1/4 to 2.5. You can see the size is different. And then for two like sizes, we have a straight hose. Go ahead, slide them on. Okay, what I have in my right hand is a standard clamp you get at any auto parts store. What I have in my left hand are the Hose Techniques specifically designed T-bolt clamps for their hoses. The benefits of using the Hose Technique clamps versus your standard clamp is that with your standard clamp, you can see two things right off the bat. One, it's got these cuts into it, and two, it's got these sharp edges. I don't know if we can see that, but it's a flat edge, and if you run your finger across it, it feels a little sharp. Right off the bat, the difference is A, you don't have any of those cut-ins, and B, they're rounded. So you won't cut into your silicone hoses, and your silicone hoses won't come through these little indentations, these little cuts. Okay, like I said before, the Hose Techniques clamps are specifically designed for the Hose Techniques hoses. They factor in the wall size of their hoses into the final size of their clamps. So for instance, if you're getting a 2 3/4 hose and you got a 2 3/4 clamp, that clamp will work for the Hose Technique hose. But if you try to use the same clamp on a 2 3/4 hose from another manufacturer, it may not fit right. These fit perfectly every time and are the best thing to use for this application. Prior to clamping your hoses, you're going to want to get yourself some synthetic lubricant. This one's got a silicone base to it, and you're just gonna want to put a couple little squirts on that thread, and then using a deep socket. Make sure to use a deep socket, because I learned the hard way on my car. I started out with a wrench and realized not only was it going to take a long time, but if I try to use a standard socket, the thread on this comes out, and you're not going to be able to get any more play on it. So go ahead, tighten it down a couple times, and then you're going to want to back it off just to get that lubricant on the threads and on the inside threads of your nut. The reason for this is, as both of these elements are stainless, if you were to say use an air tool and try to fasten it on real fast, if it's not lubed up properly, it's going to gall, and basically that means the heat, the friction, it's going to cause the inside threads of the nut to basically weld to the threads of the clamp. So that's just a good thing to know. Okay, so we went ahead and put our clamp over our hose. You want to make sure that where the side of your clamp sits is to the back of the bead. That way your hose will seat properly. So we're just going to go ahead and tighten it down so it's nice and snug, and we know that we got the bead. Okay, as you can see, we went ahead and replaced our old hoses with the new Hose Techniques hoses and the Hose Techniques clamps. Right off the bat, you can tell that the Hose Technique clamps are a lot beefier. The T-bolt clamps offer a lot better grip, and they won't cut in to your silicone hoses like these clamps do. These clamps that you'd buy from a regular automotive parts store. Alright, and one thing you might notice is with the T-bolt clamps, we have the studs that come out. Personally, I think they're punk rock. I think it makes this car look like it's got spikes under the hood. But for some of you, you may not want that, and you might actually cut yourself on them if you're working around the car. So we have a solution to that. Just go ahead, take some vacuum hose, cut it into segments, as you can see here, and go ahead and slide it onto that stud. Just like that. What you get is you eliminate the stud. You're not going to scratch yourself on the edges, and it doesn't look too bad. I just came up on this. I took off the other side, and I'm really happy. Well, I'm not happy that it happened to Matt, but you know, now that we're putting the Hose Technique stuff on, it's not going to matter. But as you can see, the silicone, or whatever this material is, has actually, I don't even think this is silicone. What is this?
It's silicone.
Is it silicone? Okay, the silicone hoses have actually started to come through the fins. So you can see it right here. And over a period of time, that's just going to destroy your hose completely. So with the Hose Technique system of the clamps and their hoses, you'll never get this. As you can see, we've got our hoses on now. It's a big improvement with only 4 small pieces for the aesthetics of the car. A little bit of hose goes a really long way. So if you want the same for your car, if you're interested in having a product that you know has a guarantee behind it, and if you want to get your product from a company that's been in the business for a really long time, you're definitely going to want to go to Hose Techniques. And I want to thank Lucky Dodge from Hose Techniques for giving us his time and his parts for this quick little intro into what hoses are all about. So remember, DRIFTING.COM.